It's a distinct honor for me to welcome Dr. Agnes Williams. Welcome, Agnes.
Thank you.
And it was recently that UB honored you with an honorary doctorate.
Yes, the SUNY system. It was a statewide event. Well, it was actually at UB, but it had to go through the whole state SUNY system. So it took a year. And I was unaware of it till it happened, and I didn't really understand until after it happened what it, the impact it was going to have.
So they gave it to you for all of your work with Indigenous women, but your lifetime work.
Right. Really, it's the I was educated at Syracuse University as a social worker, and I did a lot of community organizing, social planning, some clinical work, some direct service work, but mostly it's been the community work and the community organizing, and especially in the last 30 years here in Buffalo, we've been working with the Indigenous Women's Initiatives and the Indigenous Women's Network of Austin, Texas, which is an organization we started in 1983 following the Hopi Prophecy. And that organization still has a retreat center of Alma, and we also have a project in Minnesota called Honor the Earth.
Well, let's do some basics for people watching, and they may have heard the terms, but Haudenosaunee and the Iroquois Confederacy.
Yeah, Haudenosaunee is the name that we use to describe the 5 plus 1, 6 nations here in across New York State, southern Quebec, southern Ontario, which is our original territory, which makes us a little different than some of the other natives out west, because most of them have been removed and moved onto what they call trust territories, but we are still on our original territories. And in 900 AD, it's been carbon dated, we received our third original instruction, or what we call our religious teachings about how we were to be in groups and how we were to relate with one another. And that was when the Iroquois, which is a French word, Confederacy was founded. And there's many stories to this. The first person, the peacemaker, came he was actually Huron, from the shores of Lake Ontario in a stone canoe, came across Lake Ontario. And the first person that he saw when he landed on this side of the lake was Jagonsase, was a woman, which starts to fit into a lot of the significance of women and their role inside of the Confederacy, and as well as in their communities.
Well, that's really important to understand the significance, importance of women, particularly in leadership.
Right. And it was very, we have four instructions. We have the creation story, and we went along, and then as we needed more instructions and things got bad for us, we were given I call it the story of 12 brothers, which is basically talking about our songs, our ceremonies, our ceremonial calendar, and our relationship to the environment. And the 12th brother that delivered that message, after he delivered that to 12 other children, he left and he walked across the water and went to the east. And he said he would be back, but he had to deliver his message to the east. And so everybody continued to follow his instructions in terms of the songs, the ceremonies, the rituals that we still do to this day. And he did, as a teenager, come back. And when he came back across the water, everybody ran to the shore, and he told them that he had gone to the east and that they didn't accept his message. And they tried to kill him 3 times. And they said that his hands were bleeding. But he again instructed them to continue on with the rituals and the songs and the ceremonies, the ceremonial calendar. And he left for the west, where he had to give his message. So that's the 12th brother story. Then the next one, time went on and things got bad again, very bad for us. You know, we were waging war and people were becoming so hateful and bad to one another that the third message was sent, and we've carbon dated that to the 912 BC. And that was when the Iroquois Confederacy was formed. And it started out with the Peacemaker being born as a Huron on the shores, and his mother trying to, his grandmother trying to kill him because he was a what they call it, immaculate birth, and she had moved with her daughter away because she didn't want anybody to know that her daughter had a baby, and she tried to kill him, and he just kept coming back. So he finally had to left and building that stone canoe. And they say today, you know, when we go across to Ontario, you can see where the stone canoe pushed off from the shores. The markings are still in the ground there. And when he came here, the first one he met was Agnes, who was really what you might think of in European terms like an innkeeper, because there was so much warring that the different warring camps would stay, and she'd do, you know, feed, and people would stay at her camp. And it is said that he peered through the smoke hole in her house, and she was making a stew, and actually at that point in time, you know, people were practicing cannibalism, so it was a human stew, and she saw the reflection of his face in the stew, and she was so overwhelmed by the peacefulness in his face and just the way he looked that she immediately took the stew and threw it out. And then that's when she saw him outside, and he began to deliver the message of the good mind, and which is the basis of the Haudenosaunee and the Iroquois Confederacy, that we bury our weapons of war and we take on the great law of peace.
Well, we're in the last 30 seconds, and your lifetime work, or at least here, has been Indigenous women's initiatives.
Right.
And you've been working on environment.
Right.
And working with others from the community on the new compact, which is hopefully will be renewed in December.
Right. We've had a long history of bad faith relationships with the non-natives, you know, once contact was made. And, you know, it got so bad, and, you know, we had so much drunkenness in our own communities with the introduction of the rum and alcohol, that we were given the fourth instruction, which was the Code of Handsome Lake. And all of these are the same principles of the good mind and peace. And women's roles, you know, were really cemented in each one of those. So in my traditions, you know, the women owned the land, what Europeans might consider ownership, but they tilled the land, and then the men were the hunters and the gatherers and the protectors.
Well, thank you so much.
Oh,
Dr. Agnes Williams.
You're welcome.
It's good to have you with us, and we need to go on with this conversation, and hope others will invite you to tell the story as well.